the auditor's office.
Any discussion? Seeing none, next item.
Authorizing the clerk to sign notice to legislative authority for the Ohio Department of Commerce, Division of Liquor Control.
Any discussion?
It's okay.
Seeing none, let's go on to the next one.
Approving agreements and addendums with various providers relative to home placement on behalf of Children's Services.
Discussion? Seeing none, next item.
Entering into agreement with the City of Franklin for the fiscal year 2025 CDBG Grant Entitlement Program.
Without objection then, we'll go on to the next one.
Authorizing the chief mechanic of the garage to sign all purchase agreements and buyer's orders relative to the purchase of county-owned vehicles.
Any discussion? Seeing none, next.
Entering into contract with Valley Transport for net transportation services for Warren County Medicaid consumers on behalf of Human Services.
Without objection, move on to the next one.
Accepting a memorandum of understanding with the Cincinnati Regional Chamber on behalf of Ohio Means Jobs Warren County and the Area 12 Workforce Development Board.
Any discussion?
What is that, Martin?
This is where, I think, this is where Jobs Ohio has released some of their funds to begin working with companies on what used to be sort of kind of incumbent worker training. And so the WIB is going to partner with the Cincinnati Chamber. They're going to be the lead and then work through their process if there's any companies in the three county area that would qualify and could get reimbursed for hiring folks.
This is the way we've always done it?
It's the way we've done it, but this is a newer program because Jobs Ohio, the good thing about these dollars from Jobs Ohio is that they're unrestricted, so it has a little bit more flexibility than the federal dollars that come through. But as far as process and MOUs and those items, yes.
We typically struggle with utilizing those traditional dollars because our population doesn't fit the narrow scope of it, and so this is gonna provide an opportunity for more flexibility, I think.
Okay.
Next item.
Accepting a quote from Tyler Technologies on behalf of the Office of Management and Budget.
Discussion? Seeing none, next item.
Amending resolution number 26042 adopted on April 28th, 2026, approving a credit support program application.
Discussion? Seeing none, next item.
Authorizing the First Warren County Economic Fund Cooperative Credit Support Pledge Agreement with the Warren County Port Authority.
Any discussion?
What's that one?
This is the, after the last meeting that was held relative to the event center in Middletown, there was a cooperative agreement that needed to be had between the county commissioners and the Port Authority. And so this has been worked through legal and ready for action.
The next resolution is accepting a quote from Business Communication Specialists on behalf of Technology Services Department.
Any discussion? Seeing none?
Accepting a statement of work from Secure Cyber on behalf of Technology Support, or Tech Services, I'm sorry.
Next item.
Approving the emergency purchase of 4 variable frequency drive cabinet fans for the North Wellfield number 2.
Next item.
Entering into contract with Ford Development for the South Cove Water Main Replacement Project.
And final item.
Approving an agreement between the Butler, Claremont, Warren, Ohio Means Job Consortium and the local workforce development area for the Area 12 operator.
Any discussion?
I will make only one comment. This is, I maybe should have said it at the time. It was just misstated. When you read the amendment resolution of 260452, you said 042, not 0452. Thank you.
May I ask a question? Dave, you want to have a separate vote on the cooperative agreement? So instead of lumping the cooperative agreement
Yeah, I
in
was
with
just
everything
gonna
else,
ask if you
do
wanted to
that.
hold that.
Yeah, I'll make a
item.
motion on
Separate.
14 of the 15 of these items.
Okay, so,
Except for number 10, the cooperative agreement. I've got no problem approving those.
okay. There's a motion to approve all of the items, with, the exception of the,
Warren County Economic Fund
Fund
Cooperative.
Cooperative Credit Support Pledge. Is there a second?
Second to that one.
And, yes,
Mrs. Jones?
yes.
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Commissioner, Grossman, you wanna make a motion?
Yes, I'll
on-
make a motion that we authorize the first Warren County Economic Fund Cooperative Credit Support Pledge Agreement with the Warren County Port Authority.
And I will second that. Roll call?
Mr. Young?
No.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
Great. Okay, any other add-ons?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay, great. Then, Adam here? No, okay.
Ken is here, he's gonna present, I think, Adam's out of the office.
Okay, great. Well, this is a discussion on, any questions regarding the renewal of the tax levy for the senior citizen services. Good morning, Ken.
Good
Just
morning.
for the record, will you state your name and, address, please?
Absolutely. I'm Ken Wilson with Council on Aging of Southwestern Ohio, and it's good to be with all of you this morning. I'm going to give you a brief update on the senior services levy and the status of that, as well as our need to go on the ballot this November. So, as you know, we have a 5-year levy, which is on track, and we've tightly managed to the 5-year plan despite an environment of high inflation and decreasing federal and state funding. We've been able to control costs through a variety of efforts, including tighter limits on service plans and service innovations, as well as shifting costs to new sources of funding, which I'll provide some examples later. We've also been able to negotiate some better provider contracts at better rates, which has also saved funding. We're currently projecting at the end of this year for there to be a $3 million fund balance in the senior services levy, which represents 3.7 months of reserve. So we think this is a very healthy, we're financially in a very healthy place and right on target with where we wanted to be financially. The Advisory Council and Council on Aging are both recommending a renewal levy be placed on the ballot with no increases in taxes for November of 2026. So a little bit of background. Ohio law requires that we go on the ballot every 5 years, so we must renew the levy even if there's not an increase. We were last on the ballot in 5 years ago, and the current levy expires in December of 2026 of this year. And last time we were on the ballot, we had a record 78.4% of the voters approved the senior services levy. And this levy is about providing independence for older adults at home. And just wanted to mention that Marvelous Marvel, who was turned 106, a lifetime Warren County resident who worked and lived and raised her family here, who is unfortunately now deceased, but we were able to keep her at home for her entire life through the support she received from the senior services levy. So a few facts I wanted to share with you. The effective millage for this levy drops as property values increase, resulting in no increase to property owners. So the 1.21 mil levy, the actual effective rate is 0.64, which amounts to $22 for every $100,000 of valuation annually. Increases in collections that we do see over time are only from new construction, not increases in property values. So by way of example, the amount raised per 100,000 of valuation in 2011 was $36.14 and is currently at $22 per $100,000 in valuation. The last millage increase was passed 20 years ago in November of 2006. The fund balance at the end of 2026 is estimated to be $3 million or 3.7 months of reserve. The current levy is generating about $9 million a year. In comparison to our region, Warren County is very competitive in terms of keeping the rates low. This is a look at the per capita funding raised by the levy in comparison to the population size. And as you can see, in Warren County, it's $154 for the 1.21 mil levy. The senior levy helps support two connected programs in the county. One is Fast Track Home, which targets individuals that need short-term assistance when they need it the most, when they're leaving a hospital or a nursing facility, providing 60 days of assistance to get them back on their feet and independent at home. This program is designed to meet the family when there's a crisis. For those of you who may have experienced this in your own family, that transition from hospital to home or from nursing home to home is very traumatic, and that's when some critical resources are needed at that time. ESP, also known as a nursing home without walls, provides basic services individualized to the person's need in their home. And the services are catered to what the family is unable to provide, and can include things like home care assistance or an aide coming in to help with daily living activities, transportation to medical appointments, meals, adult day services, so there's respite for the family caregiver, or some minor home modifications like putting a grab bar in the bathroom, for example. ESP is compassionate because people want to stay at home, but it's also cost effective, which makes it good for taxpayers. This is the monthly cost of ESP, which is $426 a month, compared to Medicaid programs, a passport of $1,500 a month, or a nursing facility. For Medicaid is $8,300 a month, and as you know, private pay nursing facility costs in Warren County are $12,000 or more a month. The Elderly Services Program meets the needs in the community. It enables older adults to stay at home longer and keeps them connected to their communities and to their married spouses for as long as possible, and prevents more costly nursing home placement or hospitalizations. It's also important to understand that this is payer of last resort. So if they're eligible for any other program or any other funding source, they must use that. And we hold ESP levy dollars as last resort. 90% of older adults do not qualify for Medicaid programs, and when you look at state-funded programs, it's almost all Medicaid, Medicaid, Medicaid. But when you talk about Medicaid, that's only 10% of our older adult population. So the levy meets that need of the lower income individuals, which most older adults are living on a fixed income. They're not eligible for Medicaid. The typical client, an 80-year-old woman with disabilities who needs help with bathing, cooking, cleaning, and dressing, living on a fixed income, either living at home alone or with an aging spouse. Family and friends pitch in and help out, but the needs have grown to the point where they need help. Family is often overwhelmed, and a call into the program connects them with the basic services that they need. We served 2,777 older adults in Warren County last year. the population of older adults in Warren County is growing, and these are the latest population projections from Scripps Gerontology Center from 2020 through 2050. What's kind of interesting about this is if you look at on the left, it's the 60 and over population, which we've seen rapidly growing, but that's going to be leveling off starting in 2030. And that's because a lot of that population growth are now bumping into the 85 and over group, which unfortunately, that's the group most likely to need assistance, because half of the people over the age of 85 have dementia or Alzheimer's, some kind of memory loss, which threatens their ability to stay independent. So although we see, a flattening of that 60 and over group, rapid expansion and growth of that 85 and over population. Most people are shocked to learn that most older adults with dementia are not living in a nursing facility, they're living at home with the support of family members. Our guiding principle at Council on Aging has always been to provide the highest quality services at the lowest possible cost to serve as many older adults in Warren County as possible. So we want to maximize our reach, stretch the tax dollar as far as we can to have the greatest impact. And we've managed cost under the rate of inflation. So as an example, between 2010 and 2025, the cost, looking at the overall inflation rate was 41.3%. The cost per client in our program was managed at 36.9%. Now, one of the things that's interesting is most of that inflation hit has occurred in the last few years, and I'll get to that in a moment.
But by the way, before you go on, I think the most important thing that the public wants to know is what you addressed initially.
Yes.
And that is that you're not raising the amount of money that you are actually receiving, and that the taxes for people will either be equivalent to what they're paying now or lower. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we're not asking for an increase, and we're gonna manage with the same amount of funding that we've been
Right.
receiving.
So all this detail is very interesting. I appreciate it, but I think that's the single most important thing from the public standpoint is that you're going to be operating on the same amount of money you were operating on before. You're not increasing anybody's taxes. In fact, most people's taxes are probably going to be lower with regard to this new levy. And the reason for that is that as property is improved in the county, it will be paying slightly more money than with this because the improved value will pay it and everybody else's amount will be lower. I think that's correct. Is that not right?
So I'm not an auditor and I'm not an expert on the details, but I know that the effective millage rate declines.
Well, that's what I just said in
Yes.
different words.
Yes,
Because this is a capped amount that you're raising.
correct.
The fact is that most people's effective rate will be lower.
That's correct.
Okay, and that's because of the improvement of other property, which was taxed at a lower amount because it was not of the same value. And so when there's a millage rate that is, and I think the way they're doing this is they're giving you a rate to collect exactly the same amount. In other words, you're trying to get the $9 million a year, right?
That's right, and that millage, as property values go up, our effective rate drops. So
Right.
that it's at the
Because you're
same
always
level.
only collecting the 9 million, and this is
Yeah.
why people's taxes aren't going up. And so, finally, but I have one question. What is your current fund balance? Because you
We are-
mentioned that at some point, your fund reserve balance is gonna be $3 million.
At the end of this year.
Okay, so what's the current fund balance?
It's, Lonnie, do you have that number in front of you?
I do not have the number in front of me, but it's.
The only reason why I asked
It's-
that.
It's right around 3 million, it may be 3.5.
Okay, if that's the case, that's great. Because my recollection, maybe I'm wrong about this, but my recollection is a number of years ago, when we asked you all to not collect your amount in a year, to give everybody a break. And at that point, your reserve balance was a lot higher. Am I wrong about that? Maybe I'm-
Yes, there was a tax holiday a few years ago.
And this is, but this is the reason you agreed to it, is because you
Yes.
had a much larger fund balance. So that's why I'm
Right.
asking the question.
Yes, and that's correct. So at that point, we had 12 months of reserve. And, we could afford to go a year and bring that fund
Okay,
balance down.
that's why I was asking it,
Yeah.
because I wanted to know that your reserve was really this amount, as opposed to this much larger amount, when you were agreed, based upon our request, to forego 1 year of collections.
Yes, and we've been under the 6 month of reserve ever since we did that holiday.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, go ahead, I mean, you're not gonna have you're gonna have a positive response from us. And the public,
Yes.
I think that what we've just gone through is what the public really wants to know. That you're doing a really good job with the public dollars that you receive. You're not spending more money than you were before. You've done an excellent job for all of the people that you serve. And
Yes,
you're gonna get this passed by the public again, probably by close to 80% like you did before.
yes, I believe so too, and I thank you for your questions and comments.
Yeah, okay.
So we've done we've worked diligently to keep our costs down. And, a number of things that we've done, just as by way of example, is we have a contract with electronic monitoring service company. And these are the call buttons for people who are at risk for falls. If they fall in their home, they can call the Life Squad. We're paying $19 a month, and the Medicaid rate is $32.95. So we're paying way under what Medicaid is paying for that rate. And it's even lower than the private market. So that's generating a savings of $174,604 a year for Warren County, because we negotiated a good contract with that vendor. We've also implemented a laundry delivery service with local laundromats. So instead of using home care aides for people who needed laundry done, we've been able to lower costs there by tapping into local businesses, laundromats, that can do it at a much lower cost and not have to pay for that labor. And the savings from that was $151 a month. So just a few examples. And then most recently, we've contracted with the Veterans Administration in both Cincinnati VA and Dayton VA, and are rolling out a new program with VA benefits, which is also going to shift some expense off of the levy for a new benefit from the VA for those veterans who qualify to receive their care at home. So those are all ways we've been able to manage. So recent improvements, that's not to say we haven't struggled, because recent improvements with the labor pool has improved. And that's a good thing for the program, because we had a lot of people that were waiting for services, because we had home care companies that could not accept our cases because they didn't have enough staff to staff the homes. And that resulted in savings, financial savings on the program, but was a quality problem. Well, that problem is now gone. Through a number of initiatives that we've done to improve that. And the number of older adults waiting for home care dropped from 221 down to 41. And the percentage of clients who received home care increased from 37.9% to 48.6%. And that's a financial deviation of $654,000. So that's some of the struggle that we've had, where we went from having a quality issue that we addressed, but now we have some higher costs that we're having to manage. And then the impact on home delivered meals. So home delivered meals, or also known as Meals on Wheels, represents about a third of our levy spending. And the cost drivers of that are primarily food and fuel. And inflation, particularly in 21 and 2022, we had a dramatic increase in our costs there. And we led a statewide initiative of advocacy with the CSI, with the governor's office, to eliminate some some state rules that we felt were unnecessary, that were driving up the cost of meals. And as a result of that, we were able to reduce the spend, the cost by 5% in Warren County, as you can see on the chart. So finally, we're recommending a 1.21 mil levy, which is a renewal, not an increase in taxes. When we look at our next 5-year plan, our finances are projecting a need to limit enrollment to stay within budget. But we're committed to looking for more innovation and more ways we can reduce cost to stretch that as far as possible. Our goal will be to not have a waiting list if we can. So we're gonna look for, more opportunities there to stretch the money even further. And we appreciate the support of the commissioners from all 3 of you, as well as the public in Warren County. And I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have.
Thank you so much for being here today. I'm a super big fan of that area agency on aging structure, and in particular, the Southwest Area Agency, and Suzanne Burke, who I
Yes.
think is just the best in the business, and runs an incredible organization and is really a national leader. And I'm grateful for the work that you do in our community and the sensitivity with which you approach your work, that taxpayers are paying for these services, and that you have both the compassionate side and the cost effectiveness side. I did, just for transparency, I did talk with the auditor who affirmed the $22 per 100,000 evaluation and the reserves, and he said that the reserves are at an acceptable level. And Commissioner Grossman mentioned your ability to be able to participate in the property tax holiday a couple of years ago, but I certainly recognize that the circumstances are different now, but that you continue to look for cost savings and opportunities to partner in a different way to be able to serve more residents. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think that obviously we're very conscientious of taxes here. We like to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars. We like to think we've got a pretty good history of doing that. And we love it when someone like you comes along and you're faced with the reality of inflationary pressures that were handed down from Washington, which literally were adversely affecting your budget every day, I'm sure, and you found a way to cope with it. And so now you're not coming and complaining to us and saying, oh, we need more money for what have you. You're just literally renewing at the same rate. And with the new growth of the county, that's actually one of the things that benefits our taxpayers, is because a lot of that new growth then goes into paying and supporting these types of levies, which means everyone else's effective rate comes down a little bit. So this ties right in with our, I believe, our philosophical approach of people that are able-bodied and should be working. We don't like subsidizing folks that should be out working. However, this is the elderly population. These are the people that can't necessarily take care of themselves by themselves anymore. So I think this is 100% within the public realms of what government should be doing, is taking care of those that can't take care of themselves. So 100% support you.
Thank you, Commissioner Young.
And I would just add to this, because I think this is a really good point, Commissioner Young, that you made, is that, and I appreciate the comparisons to Medicaid, because taxpayers are paying for Medicaid too. And so what you all are able to do is further drive down the costs that otherwise would be paid also by taxpayers, by keeping people in their home and not in a skilled nursing facility, which is not what they want anyway. That's a substantial savings to taxpayers, not necessarily.
Yeah, this is the cheapest option.
This is by far the least cost option. So we getting it from both sides. Those protections to the taxpayers on both ends, which we appreciate. Okay, so unless there are other questions, do we have a resolution here?
I've got a resolution declaring it necessary to levy a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation and proceeding with submission of the question of a renewal of an existing senior services levy to electors.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Did you say second?
Yes.
And a second? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And just know that staff will be getting this over to the Board of Elections ASAP to make sure that there's no issues from a technical perspective, so.
Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here today.
Thanks very much.
Okay, next on the docket, we have Scott Bronca with the City of Lebanon. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yes.
Good to see you.
So the City of Lebanon and the property owner would like to pursue a State Clean Ohio Fund grant application to purchase 51 acres. You can kind of see on the map, the location is just north of Miller Road, kind of at the intersection of Miller and Drake Road. So this program, the city's done about half a dozen of these projects over the years. It's a successful program, been in existence for a while. But what the grant would do would support the acquisition of this property. And then it could also potentially support the construction of a multi-use path through it. So we've been talking and working with the property owner for a number of months now. I think they are interested in doing this kind of as a legacy to the family. For the city, it's strategic in the sense that it would allow and support a multi-use path connection up to the high school. So if you look at the map, you can kind of see in the top right corner, Lebanon High School, and then the Ray Rock development, which is part of the city now. You can see that with their development plan, the city is requiring the construction of a multi-use path through their property. So right now, the Miller or the Harmon property is not in the city, so that's why we would need a resolution of support from the county commissioners to do this. We do have a resolution of support already approved by the Turtle Creek Township trustees, so at this point, they're supportive of it, city council supportive of it, school district supportive of it. The grant application deadline is early September, so we're hoping to be able to proceed with this project.
So you're looking for a resolution of support from the board.
Correct.
Any questions?
And so is this for this pathway? Is that what it's for?
So we would actually be we'd be purchasing the property through the grant program, and then it would also, it essentially becomes part of the city's park system. So if we're successful.
So it's not gonna be developed?
No, so part of the requirements with the state program is that deed restrictions are placed on the property that maintain it as green space in perpetuity. And
So-
that's the wishes of the family.
So the grant helps you to purchase the property and build the path?
It would essentially fund the purchase of the property.
Okay.
And again, this is managed by the city. This has nothing to do with Warren County Parks. It's completely on you, but just by law, you need to come to us and ask for support.
Correct.
That's to get the grant.
To get the grant.
to
Yeah,
get the
this
grant. You can do this on your own, just write a check, but if you want the grant, you need to come through us.
Yeah, certainly, without the grant, we wouldn't be able to pursue this, so, yeah, so, we definitely.
But my point is, you could.
Right.
You could.
Correct, yeah, and it would become a city park property, we would maintain it, we would manage it. But like I said, there are deed restrictions that stipulate it has to stay green space.
Great. There's resolution?
I have a resolution supporting the City of Lebanon, Ohio's Public Works Commission Clean Ohio Funds Green Space Conservation Program Grant.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call?
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Great.
Good
Thank
luck.
you, Scott, for being
Thank you.
here. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
And yes.
Yes. Okay, with that, we will open up our work session for July 21st of 2026. First on the agenda is Jack Brunner with the Warren County Airport Authority to provide an annual update to the board.
All right, thank you for your time. It's been a while since we've talked, so I'm just trying to give you a quick update and tell you where we're headed, what's going on and things like that. So, first of all, this year's been a little bit tough for us at the airport. We lost our airport manager, our secretary treasurer at the beginning of the year, so we've been trying to fill in. We haven't been able to backfill those yet. Good news is probably August 1st, we're gonna be able to do that. So, the airport manager is a very critical part, because that's been our interface with the FAA, ODOT, the commissioners, and with working with WCA Limited and others. So it's been tough for us. The board has tried to fill in, and we've made some mistakes. I mean, there's some gaps there, but I think we're headed on the right track. But I just wanted to give that as a quick background. Warren County airport is really very unique. Basically, the county owns the taxiway and the runway, where the rest of the property is really owned by private developers. So it's really important to understand, first of all, it's only one of 2 airports in the state of Ohio that act that way. But that private development has really benefited the county, because they've spent tens of millions of dollars without any taxpayer expense for developments there. The current status of the airport, we are the fastest growing general aviation airport in Ohio. In 3 years, it's grown 50%. So we are currently the 3rd largest airport, and by the end of the year, we will be the 2nd largest airport in Ohio.
On what scale?
By based airport and.
By number of
based
aircraft that are based there?
Aircraft.
Okay.
So the growth rate is based upon the number of aircraft that are actually in a hangar there?
Correct,
Okay.
correct, and based there. It also supports 40 different businesses there, with over 100 employees. And we also have the economic impact. Again, we don't have the latest report from the state of Ohio. It was due last year, but we haven't received it. But it's between $18 and $27 million a year, and that's just based upon the last economic impact statement we had, and then we adjusted it by inflation. We have over 150 based aircraft, and last year we had 37,685 takeoffs and landings, of which half of those were not on the based aircraft. So about half of that was from itinerant aircraft, people flying in, things like that. These are the numbers of the different types of operations that have taken place. But if you can look, you'll see that about 191 of those are takeoffs and landings from business jets and business people wanting to come into Warren County. So anyway, let's talk about the airport development a little bit. There's 37,000 total operations. That equates to about 108 takeoffs and landings per day at the airport. The airport is really kind of a hub for community outreach, and I just wanted to make sure that you understood how important the airport is to the community. WCA Limited sponsors what they call Airport Fest every year in September, where families are invited to come take a look at the airport, see what's going on. They have activities for the children, they had food things there. Last year there was over 4,000 people who attended that. The other thing that goes on at their airport, we have, again, this is for community outreach, we have Angel Flights. Angel Flight is an organization where pilots volunteer their aircraft, volunteer their time to take people, bring people in for medical assistance. I personally have flown out to St. Louis to pick up a critically burned child and taken him down to, with he and his mother, down to Children's Hospital. I've also picked up a person in Illinois and flew him up to Columbus, Ohio for cancer treatment. So it is a central hub for a lot of other things going on. Pause and Pilots is another activity that goes on where, again, pilots volunteer their aircraft and their time to move animals who have been displaced by natural disasters to places that need to go. Hospice and compassion flights. We had a recent request from a hospice patient who's never been in an airplane. They called the airport and they arranged for a pilot in a plane to take him up in the plane because he's never been off the ground. He wanted to see what it felt like to fly. So that was one thing. We used to have Otterbein days out there where WCA Limited would hold a grill out, and we'd invite all the people up from Otterbein, and we'd line up about 6 or 7 airplanes with volunteer pilots, and we'd take them flying. So we used to do that a lot. That hasn't happened because of some people have changed. Volunteer pilots, about a year and a half ago, last October, Hurricane Helene separated communities down in the Carolinas and West Virginia, Kentucky areas because of the disasters. We literally had people flooding our hangars with products and natural disaster supplies. We had 7, 8 airplanes just constantly lined up flying products down there for days. And again, that was all volunteers. So these are things that the airport is able to do. High school scholarships, we've worked with the local high schools, Primary, Lebanon, and Springboro high schools. We have a flying club there that has been giving scholarships out to students who have interest in the aviation career. We've given out there's been about 12 scholarships given out, about $9,000 a piece to teach them how to fly, so to get them a jump start on their careers. Some of those people are now flying for the Air Force, some are flying for commercial aircraft, others are still in college. And last thing that we've done, the kind of community outreach, is we've met with the Boy Scouts. Come out about once a year, and they camp out there, and then we help them through their aviation thing. So again, the airport is really kind of central to a lot of other activities that are going on. All right, about a year and a half ago, there it is, about a year, in October of 2024, we presented to the commissioners a master plan, a 20-year plan that we pulled together through studies. And again, this was a plan for the next 20 years, so it was a staged development plan that we presented. FAA had approved it, and we presented it to you. At that time, we were predicting operations to grow from, they were just under 36,000 up to 54,000. And right now we're running at 38,000. Also at that time, we figured in 20 years, the airport would grow to 145 airplanes. We're over 150. By the end of this year, with the development that's going on, we'll be about 180 some odd airplanes. We have 60 people on the wait list to house their aircraft at Warren County currently. The key recommendations from that was more apron space. Right now, the airport can only support about 2 business aircraft. I won't say large, but 2 aircraft for parking. We just don't have any parking space there. So currently, the current situation is that, okay, we have maybe 2 aircraft that we can park and house overnight if we have to. But there's others who want to come in and we just can't handle them. People come in for the tennis tournament, we can't handle some of those. Some of the other people for business, we just can't park them. We have no place to put them. So the first priority was to come up with apron space so we can park those aircraft. Second was additional hangar space. Throughout the country, there's a lack of hangar space for aircraft. Third thing is a wider full-length taxiway for safety. This drawing that you see up here, by the way, is basically the entire master plan. I don't want you to think this is everything that's going on right now. This is the 20-year development drawing that you're seeing up here. But you'll see up there the existing taxiway kind of in the red crosshatch That taxiway does not meet really the FAA safety standards. It's too close to the runway. It's also narrow, too narrow for it. So it does not meet safety standards. The other thing I'll mention is that ODOT came through last year and did a complete study of the condition of our runway and taxiways. And they feel that the existing taxiway is our nemesis right now. It has maybe another 3 to 5 year life before it needs to be totally, a major part of it replaced. Currently, we're patching it together, and we have been patching it together for a few years. And the last thing that really was in the master plan was increase the length of the runway to 100 feet wide and 5,000 feet. And primarily that's due for insurance reasons for business aircraft. Business aircraft, insurance does not like us to have anything less than 5,000 feet. So that's really what it was for, and that was to support the businesses inside Warren County. Is the reason that recommendation was made. Location of the airport, if you haven't realized, I mean, we're about 10 minutes away from that Mason Research and Development Park that's going on down there. We're about 15 minutes away from Kings Island and the tennis tournaments. We're probably about 10 to 15 minutes away from all your developments that are going along 75 and 63. So the location is very central to what's going on there. There's I think it's the next slide. Okay, where are we today? We purchased 12 acres. That was done last year with county approval funds and also FAA funding. We purchased 12 acres on the west side of the airport. That was required that we do that, otherwise we could not get any more government FAA funding. We had to own property on that side of the airport. Currently, all that property before then was owned by WCA Limited. So we couldn't get funding we wouldn't be able to get funding for a new taxiway. We couldn't get funding for other developments on that side of the airport. We would have had to move everything over to the other side, which would cause safety issues. We'd have to get in all new utilities, new services, and everything else. So it was going to be a major problem, very costly if we tried to move it to the other side. So we purchased 12 acres, and you can see that area up there. The majority of what I'm going to be talking about is focused on that 12 acres because that's what our high priority right now. So we've got those 12 acres. So the first priority, as I said, was to get funding for an apron and a new taxiway connection because we need to be able to take care of the itinerant aircraft, the business aircraft that's flying in. So we have currently applied to FAA funding for the construction of the apron and taxiway. We have pre-applied to the FAA, and by pre-application it basically says that we're not disturbing any Indiana bats or any frogs or anything like that, just environmental analysis to extend a small taxiway to the west off that apron. We've pre-applied for that just to see if they'll give us funding for that in the coming years. And that is so we can develop that property. FAA requires that if we buy property under their funding, that FAA grant assurance says that we have to develop that property for the benefit of the airport. So our intent then is to take the remaining land and put up land leases and let somebody else build their own hangars there. That minimizes our investment, and we don't have to do anything with that. So that's our intent. So in order to support all that, the airport was working on services agreements for other issues, basically with WCA Limited, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. Access agreements, the FAA requires us to do access agreements, how are they going to use the taxiways and the runways, et cetera. Standards agreement, we don't want people building pole barns out there or, toss up any shed that they want. And then the land lease agreements, we're currently benchmarking with other airports at this time to find out how other airports do their land leases and what they charge. So that's what's going on. Now, all this planning, there's a disruptive technology that's come up. And last year, we entered into a study with OKI and ODOT on basically advanced air mobility initiatives. They're very, well, that technology is coming very quick. Currently, what they're doing, they have their own division in ODOT, and they've put up a test bed along the I-71 corridor from Cleveland down to Cincinnati. And they're using that to test the delivery of medical supplies, medical equipment, regional air cargo, package delivery, and eventually, and I don't want to scare people on this one, eventually they're looking at us to be able to be a hub for other airports where they have air taxis. So somebody would come to Warren County, they would park their car, hop in an air taxi and go to Indianapolis or go to CVG or go to Columbus. The whole intent with OKI and ODOT is basically to start alleviating the ground transportation. So they're looking to air to do that. So they're start looking at those types of deliveries. They have told us what our requirements will be to be able to support this, but that's as far as they've gone at this point. My guess is that we'd probably start seeing something at Warren County in about 2 years, but we have to be prepared for it. Primarily, it's going to be electrical requirements. But anyway, that's going to, our whole master plan, I think this is going to kind of put a sidetrack in us as we start our development and our work. Okay, why we're here, we need the county's help, of course. First of all, we want your support to continue on the master plan that was developed. We're also looking, we need to have this 12 acres, and again, I want to focus on this 12 acres right there on the master plan.
Just so we're clear, the development on your master plan to the opposite side of the runway, who owns that property? Isn't that county?
County owns that.
Okay, so that's just part of the master plan over time?
Yes, over time. Over time. The county owns that property. On this drawing, you can kind of see the grayish area, that's basically county property.
It just, since we're talking about the master plan, that was, over the last 2 decades, that was a very intentional act by this board, that we knew the FAA did not like the through-the-fence operation.
Correct.
They didn't care for that model, even though it benefited us very well. So in lieu of being 100% monopolized by an individual corporation, we purchased property in a very deliberate way to say, if something goes amiss with that, we
Yes.
have the option to go do our own thing. Bruce, is that fair to say?
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly correct. Yeah. Okay, we have to resurvey this property and get that. I think we can cover that. I don't think we need additional funding for that survey. I think we've got enough in our budget this year that we'll be able to handle that. The other thing that we will need is, that we're gonna be looking for the commissioners to help us with, is additional funding to take care of the taxiway, to widen the taxiway on that new section, that new apron. These are recent instances where business aircraft have come in, this is 2 of several, where they have tried to come off the taxiway and the turn is too sharp, so they actually run off, and then we have to go in and help them out. So this is not something that, I don't want to say it's a fantasy wish, it's something I think we really do need. So with that, this is our drawing right now that we've submitted to the FAA for a continuous apron space. For reference, the airport our size with the number of traffic, the FAA's kind of standard is that we should have about 6,000 square yards of apron. And we don't have anywhere close to that. All the apron space right now is on private property. So what we're looking at is this area up here, this taxiway, and this is where we're looking for help from the commissioners. The FAA, because we are a general aviation airport, they won't really, and we don't have enough larger aircraft coming in, they will not fund a wider taxiway. They will not fund, if you look at this drawing at the top there where it comes in, I'll try to bring this in. Up there at the top, you'll see there's several lines, but at the top, there's a very sharp turn coming in and going down to a 25-foot wide taxiway. For business aircraft, they can't make that turn. They need a larger radius in order to make that turn. So what we will be requesting from the county is to help fund that additional width. That'll come to about $98,000 is our best estimate. So as we're building that taxiway, we'd be hoping to come back to the county and looking for that $98,000. We don't have approval for this yet, so it's for us to come back to you today and ask for that is premature. But this is what we think is coming, okay? So that would help, that would alleviate the issues we're having with some of our business aircraft. It would also allow us to bring in more business aircraft. Again, we have to turn away people who want to come into the tennis tournaments. We have to turn away people who want to come in, I don't know, real estate developers or whatever right now, because we just have no place to put them. All right, in addition to that, WCA Limited is, again, they've been an excellent partner in all this. We're under a 10-year contract with them that has expired, where they maintain all the property. They do all the mowing, they go out and they check the lights for us, they go out and remove any foreign objects on the runway and taxiway, they report conditions that are going on, they handle the notice to airmen, NOTAMs and things like that, so they handle all that. We've been under a 10-year contract and that has not increased at all. They mow about 80 acres of property. And gas prices, you know, over the last 10 years has gone tremendously. So we will be coming back to you once we get things settled. We'll be coming back with, I guess, an increase in funding in order to handle that contract. It's been very lucrative for us, as the county, again, but they're definitely underpaid for what they do for us. So we'll be having to come back for additional there. The last item is WCA Limited is developing all the property down here to the south, right in this area. They're developing all this area right now. And they're currently, if you go out there, you'll see that there's a lot of construction. They're building 3 new hangars in there. They have another hangar going down at the end, so that'll increase our population at the airport by, what, 8 times 4, 32 more airplanes. So part of that, what they're doing is they do not want to, WCA Limited has gone back to the county and said, we don't want.
Can I stop you for a second? So tell the average person why that's a big deal to the taxpayers of Warren County, that essentially there's new buildings going up and those new buildings will be.
It's not costing the county a penny.
Right, but I'm saying from a taxpayer standpoint, those new buildings pay property taxes.
They pay property
And then
taxes, they
every
pay
time
fuel
one of the
taxes.
every time one of the planes
Yeah.
fills up,
Right.
there's sales tax revenue, correct?
Right. You also have some income tax revenue there because a lot of those end of those hangars are also small businesses. So you're also building up your business. So it's, yeah, it's a huge benefit for the county. As again, they have spent tens and tens of millions of dollars in development out there that has not cost the county anything, really. But anyway, they're developing this property and they've gone through, they've come up with a plan. Currently, there's issues with stormwater drainage out on the Green Tree Road. And they've come up with a plan where they want to divert all that stormwater over to a pond that's sitting over there on I guess it's, I don't know, it's WCA Limited property, but it is their property. So with that, it comes right past where the 12 acres is located, and we're gonna look to try to tie into that stormwater drainage. with that, we're adding to that outflow. And they have come back to us to ask us to participate in that. And they're also asking for us to participate in the cost of developing that drainage system over to that pond. What those costs are, I don't know right now. Yes, I'm just throwing out a guess, but we're talking $300,000 to $500,000 in order to handle that outflow. We can't ask for FAA funding there because it's on private property. So we can't go back to the FAA or anywhere else to try to get that funding. So again, we'll be looking to the county. Again, those numbers, I don't know. This has all come up probably in the within 3 months, this whole plan. So as we get
Bruce,
that.
are we able to spend money on private property like that?
What he's proposing is that we would benefit from it in a number of ways. And one is that we have to do something on that 12 acres that they refer to as parcel 17 with our stormwater. So we're, I think if they get into the weeds a little bit, we would have to create our own stormwater system there and use up some of that acreage that could otherwise be developed. Furthermore, we've got to take our stormwater somewhere. So the place for it to go that's being proposed, and Warren County Airport Limited folks are here, their engineers are here, would be to go to that area over there. So it is it's something we're buying to be able to discharge our stormwater. So the answer is yes, we could do that. We're not making a private improvement to private property.
We'd be paying to deal with our
Yeah,
stormwater.
we're contributing to their cost. They have some stormwater issues they've got to deal with, but we do as well. So we, in essence, would be buying somewhere
Stormwater.
to discharge our stormwater.
So what happens then if that property is sold later? We can no longer necessarily use that for our stormwater
No, we would paper it such that we would have perpetual rights
to the stormwater.
in the way of easements and so forth.
Okay.
So like on the 12 acres that's in question, that's being developed. And so we've got two options, and the county has a stormwater issue there, correct?
We do.
So we have two options. Either we build a new retention pond on our 12 acres, which there'll be a cost for that, and that also takes away from the ability to develop it. And that's where, again, the more hangars, the more property taxes, the more aircraft, the more sales taxes, things like that. So in lieu of doing it ourselves, the proposal is paper it to where it's a perpetual agreement, to where we spend some of that money and essentially build whatever lines down to an existing lake or retention pond.
Their existing pond.
That they would have to improve, to not only take their stormwater, but take our stormwater. But the issue that we're struggling with is, if we do our own thing besides losing usable property, valuable property, we could get potentially FAA and ODOT funding for
Right.
that, versus what Jack just mentioned, that if we do this other option, we're not going to get that federal and or state funding for that. So we're
So
gonna,
it's where you gotta understand the trade-off
Yeah,
on the
and-
ROI.
Yeah, and Martin has been asking over, what's the delta on this? We wanna know what the numbers are, and we just don't know
We just
those
don't know that.
today.
But that's what you're saying is work in progress.
It's work in progress
Okay.
at this point.
Okay.
Correct. Correct. You were asking about where the water going. There's an existing pond over here, and they have to increase the size of that pond. So that's a lot of the money there. They have to increase the size to handle all the runoff from the area. All right. I don't have anything else. I'm open for any questions or discussion.
Any questions by the board? Well, I appreciate the update.
Yeah, we need to probably get back sooner. I have one other thing real quick. It's just again, just to kind of wrap up the importance of the airport. Josh Curtis and WCA Limited pulled together a little 2-minute promo, so bear with me. But I think it does a great job of just wrapping everything up. So if we can. No.
Josh, you may have to do it impromptu.
Yeah, do it in person,
We
Josh.
don't have
I
audio.
don't have all this.
Josh is here, so we can
Yeah.
just do it.
It says it's on. Yeah.
It's finicky, sometimes a little bit
Finicky.
more.
But Josh just put this together just recently, and I thought he did a very good job. It kind of wraps up a lot of the importance of the airport.
You can send it to us too.
Well, you've got it.
Yeah,
It's here. Again, it's a quick 2 minutes.
it's not.
It's not working.
It's not-
All right.
I'll make sure they get
They have it, but again, I think it does a good job of wrapping.
Hopefully the planes out there work better than our AV.
Thank you very much.
Oh, there is one other thing I want to mention. Josh Curtis again did this, WCA Limited. He spent the time and went through emergency response with everybody, came up with an emergency response plan. And we didn't know it was gonna play out as well as it did. But, again, these are things that if we would have had an airport manager, we could have worked a lot of these things, and we did not. We rely heavily on WCA Limited and our engineers and others. But, about 2 weeks, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, we had a plane that lost power on takeoff. They declared an emergency. And again, WCA Limited, the FBO, immediately called, when he called Mayday, they called 911. So he took off, and I can't remember if it was 10:02 or 9:02, I was looking at the videos. And this whole thing, he was up, called an emergency about a minute after he took off. They called 911. He was back on the ground in 4 minutes, but through his efforts and the training that he had done, the Turtle Creek Fire Department, the Lebanon Fire Department, the Sheriff's Department, and medical were all there within 10 minutes.
Yeah, we were notified within
Yeah,
10
okay.
minutes.
I mean, I was amazed how quickly everybody responded. And again, if Josh hadn't gone through all that, we'd be in trouble. Thank
Well,
you.
listen, I mean, we do appreciate your work and the board, it's a volunteer board. It is an important county asset. We know there's been turnover, so we appreciate what your volunteer board does do, because that is an important county asset.
Thank you. I
And a
appreciate
couple of the
that.
board members are here.
Yes.
Doug Koenig, who's
Doug
currently
Koenig.
vice president, Nick Sargent, on the board is here.
Right. I don't see,
I
Thank
think
you
that's
all
I
for
think
being
that's it.
here.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, next we have Matt Latham, Executive Director of the Warren County Park District, to provide an annual update.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you very much for your time this morning. And yes, this was originally intended to be an annual update back when it was scheduled in May. But a couple weeks ago, our Board of Park Commissioners voted to move forward on a levy proposal. So naturally, the nature of the presentation has changed somewhat. So I'd like to begin with the impact that the Park District had in 2025, explain the financial challenge facing us, how we determine the appropriate level of funding, and the details of this request that we propose to put before the voters. But before we begin, I just want to make sure that it's clear that we're providing this information for informational purposes. It should not be considered a request for the county commissioners to take a position on the park levy.
Oh, you don't need to request us to do so, we likely will.
That's fine.
When did you address the park levy with your board?
It's, that was July 2nd.
Okay. And did you, at that point, was that when the board took action to decide to put a levy on the ballot?
Yes.
And prior to that, did you give notice to the public of a public hearing of some sort
Yes,
to address that issue?
yes.
Okay. And then, was there a lot of public participation in that?
Nobody decided to come.
Okay, and have you ever had a park levy before in this county?
No.
And when did you come to us to tell us that you were considering that?
We are here right now, and,
You've already considered it and decided the question, right?
well, I would have liked to be here many months before now, okay? So,
But you weren't.
right, because I severely underestimated the amount of time it would take to get in front of this body.
Well, but you actually requested an annual update, so that didn't, I think that.
Back in May, and then we had the economic study presentation, I believe that was in March, that was requested in late December. I would have loved to have those additional 3 or 4 months to coordinate with you all.
Yeah, but you did not advise the clerk that your objective of meeting, you said that it would be an annual update, and so that doesn't necessitate any urgency around it.
Well, I understand that, but I
Especially in light of
can't,
the fact that the reason why our schedule didn't allow you to come in early is because we were actively talking nearly week in and week out about property tax relief that we were gonna be providing to the residents who we continue to hear from on a daily basis that needs to be provided. So I appreciate what you're saying, but the suggestion that somehow the clerk inappropriately timed us, I think is not appropriate.
well, I'm also in a bit of a catch-22 because I can't get out in front of my board and say that we're going for a levy before my board tells me that we're going for a levy. So,
Well, again, this whole thing is, I try to reserve my words, very upsetting, that I would like to think that this board has been particularly good to your group over decades. And you are literally changing your entire business model. You've decided to do this with literally, I know from my standpoint it was zero input. It sounds like from my colleagues' standpoint, zero input. We have funded you, we've done everything you've asked. Now you all unilaterally have decided to move forward with a levy, which has never been done in this county, to raise people's property taxes, and you don't even freaking tell us?
well, this is the whole question of why didn't you tell us before you told us? That's,
How about considering it? I mean, it's, what do you all think? Because what you're saying is the board acted to do it,
yeah,
and now you're informing us.
the position of this body has been clear. And we understand that. But we have an obligation to.
What do you mean the position of this body's been clear?
This
What do you mean by that?
commission is that never at any time have I gotten any signals from here that you guys would support a levy or that you.
What do you mean, when has that been asked? The only time that's ever been asked by your board was years ago, and I believe we actually paid for polling data to take it out to the public. That's the only other time this has ever been contemplated. I was here.
Yeah,
So
about
your
10
board
years
came
ago.
to us and said, we'd like to do this, and I believe we paid for it, or maybe reimbursed you or what have you. There was polling done to check the temperature of the public on this issue. So this was discussed before, and you didn't get a unilaterally, heck no, no way. We said, well, let's go check the temperature of the voters. So that's the only other time this was ever contemplated.
Mhm.
Now, it's contemplated by your board without even informing us.
Why don't I jump in? So,
Ben, can you just state your name
Yep,
and address
I'm
for the
Ben
record,
Yoder.
please?
I guess I'm not the president right now of the park board, but Ben Yoder with the Warren County Park District. So, at the board level, I want the board to clearly know, the reason we passed it when we passed it was when we could get it, when people were around. But the intention was always, and I even, go back and read the minutes, was we wanted to be able to talk to you all first about it. And we do still intend that if there is an alternative to this, we will gladly take it off the ballot. we're intending, should we need to pass a resolution to proceed this upcoming Friday at a
But
special
here's
meeting.
the thing, Ben.
Sure.
I really appreciate that, but as you know, since I too struggled to find time on your schedule
Sure.
to be able to have lunch, which we are
Absolutely.
scheduled for next week, and that
Absolutely.
happens, so that I could have an understanding
Sure.
of, not the levy, when this was, when we originally had, we didn't even have a conversation, we had an email exchange
Yep.
about the needs of the park board,
Mhm.
there was no discussion of a levy.
Yeah.
So we're scheduled to have that. What I resent here is that now it's not a discussion with the county about how can we partner as as organizations in the community, as we always have, to figure out a long-term plan. It's, we've done this already, and now we want to leverage you so it doesn't go before. We're willing to take it off if you do something for
That's-
us. It feels like it
I-
completely undermines the sense of partnership that Commissioner Young has expressed, and that's what's so troublesome.
Yeah, I value that. I genuinely get that, and I apologize for that.
But the other thing that concerns us is that we weren't told you were gonna do this, or you were planning to do this. And that's why I brought up that never before have we had a park levy. You've always operated with the county doing the funding and working with us. But all of a sudden, we hear about, and we hear about it for the first time when you're going out to do it. And it's like, it's out of the blue. None of us even knew about it. You didn't even call us on the phone. Surely, you could have told us in advance what was going on, but you didn't.
Can I?
Yeah,
it
sure,
addresses
man.
that
I mean, you know, we've known
absolutely,
you for a long time,
Yeah,
and
of course.
obviously in lots of different contexts.
Sure, of course. Just to kind of explain where the board's coming from at a policy level. And by the way, and she's here as well, Wendy Monroe, this was a 2-to-1 vote, so don't blame Wendy for any of this, I guess, of us being.
Oh, why, she voted against it?
Correct, yes. And it's a
Okay.
complicated issue. And I encouraged her to come here so that we could actually intellectually talk about why now or why not now.
Yeah,
Why
but
are
she mentioned, did she ask you, did you talk to us beforehand, before you did this?
This is one of the basis for it is, and that's truly has been our intention from the get-go, and I've been consistent every time I came
The
here.
intention for the get-go was to do what?
That's what I'm about to say. So what
Okay.
I was saying was, the intention from the get-go is always to talk to the county commissioners.
Before you did something, but you already did it.
What we've done thus far is pass a resolution of necessity. I would gladly take back the resolution of necessity and rescind it, or not pass a resolution to proceed, or even after the
Why would you
resolution
do
to
that
proceed.
now, based upon the fact that you did it?
Based off feedback from the county commission, whom we genuinely value.
Well, we'd rather you didn't do a tax levy.
I know, I would, and that's what I said that's what I was starting to say, from the get-go. I've always come here, and we've had very intellectual, frank, and honest conversations over the years. And I've always said that a levy is the course of last resort. And that's what I mean, but that's what gets us into, from our board's perspective as well, while the county's, I'll say it this way. We fall off a fiscal cliff at the end of 2028. At a board level, if you want to pass a levy, first you start thinking, when will you start collecting if you actually do? And then you start thinking of, well, what if it doesn't pass in the first round? And then you start thinking of, when are conducive election cycles for doing that? So that's where what we, from our board's perspective, are doing is laying the groundwork for the need to protect the parks and the employees. I get how, genuinely, to your point, I genuinely.
We feel
get-
leveraged, or
Yeah,
I feel
that is,
leveraged.
yeah, and I absolutely apologize for that.
And why
I
are you
certainly
falling
do.
off a fiscal cliff in literally 2 years?
Because we've reorganized the park district. That's part of our presentation, which we literally came to the county commissioners and told you, this is going to happen if we do this. We talked with, then it was the Administrator Zindel, with now County Administrator Russell as well, had a meeting and said, we recognize that the park needs to modernize and professionalize. If we do that, we're gonna do something stupid here, and we're gonna start going into negative revenue spends. So to say that, respectfully, from our perspective, to say that why did that happen and we didn't know that? I legitimately, maybe at an actual knowledge level, you all don't know that, you have so much to do, all those things.
No,
But
I mean,
that's been well informed.
I mean, my interest in wanting to get together and talk to you, and
Yeah.
certainly I've participated in some level in your engagement process that
Sure.
you did a year ago or so. And so, you know, I had knowledge about what was doing,
Absolutely.
and that was what was motivating me, especially given some of the other discussions
Absolutely.
that the board was having, to just understand it
Yeah,
more
absolutely.
and to at least have that information to be able to put into consideration as we were having other conversations, right? Like,
Yeah,
and so it's not that I personally didn't understand
Yeah.
kind of where things were going, but this was just really
I get that,
surprising.
and I feel terrible for that,
And-
genuine at a human
and I-
level with you, I do,
And
I get that.
I appreciate that, but I also, what I'm similarly frustrated by is the environment in which this is happening too, that
Yeah.
feels
As are
so
we.
tone deaf to me. When what is at risk for us is a third of our operating revenue if a repeal effort gets on the ballot and is successful, and how devastating that would be to us. And as we are having conversations for the last year in preparation around that, how are we thinking about this? How are we budgeting? How are we understanding things? Been very transparent with the public about the concerns that we have, and equally understanding the concerns of residents and taxpayers too. But I'm stunned at out of respect to the park board and understanding your considerations, to not consider the environment in which this conversation is happening is.
And I think that there's some, maybe telephone game going on where we've not had frank, honest, and consistent conversations and been front of mind on what the park district's up to and what it's doing. We come in every once in a while, we do that type of stuff, but we don't come in regularly. Completely candid, blunt response to that was, we've been trying to figure this out for a while in ways in which to not have to go for a park levy. One of the proposals that we discussed was maybe the county commissioners could give us a percentage of the sales tax that would help do that. Because bear in mind, the park district itself, we have literally no legal ability to collect any revenues whatsoever outside of a real property tax. And your benevolence in the local government funds that you reallocated to us. So we did that, and I think, and that's some of the telephone game, is I think that idea was, I don't know how formally or informally floated to you. And I think you were probably in the thick of like working on all your other stuff too. And it was like, no, that's not a thing. So, I mean, at our board level, we kind of went, oh God, like, respectfully, if we're talking bluntly, the last time we came here, when we did our strategic planning, we said, we're gonna spend the next year and a half, working on a park master plan. Then you had said, and then after that, you're gonna come and request money from us. And I said, well, maybe, I mean, that's kind of what some of these things do. And I said, and I'll spend the next year and a half trying to convince you to do that, which that's on me. I probably should have called and texted in that time. as
Well,
well.
no, it sounds like you had a conversation with Commissioner Jones. Yeah,
I think conversation is much more of an
But
oversight.
I thought you said
Conversations with me.
I thought you said that you were
She's got
engaged
lunch
in
on
the
next
process.
week.
We're
So
gonna have a conversation next week.
Yeah, but let
Well,
me
I
finish.
did have a conversation with
But
him,
let me-
who I consider a friend, and I
Thank you, I
like a
appreciate
lot.
that, despite her
But
presence.
despite what I'm about to say, this freaking ticks me off.
I get it.
I mean, not a little bit, a lot. Because I said that, because again, I've been around the block a little bit
Wait,
here.
but-
And when you start talking about professionals and master plans, this or what have you, raising the level of that means salaries. That means we're spending money. That didn't mean, hey, we're acquiring new parks, we're hiring this, we're doing that. We're changing the way we do business, which you unilaterally did. You said we, the park board, wants the change. And then I believe that the discussion was, we don't have the money because we fall off a cliff. So the answer to that is, you want to go from having a $3 million-ish budget to a $9 million budget.
And if given the opportunity to give our presentation, we'll gladly explain those things. to you.
Honestly, I almost don't even want to, I don't care.
No, that's
I-
fine.
I literally don't care about your presentation, because, again, this is where, working with then Senator Jones, I've been very supportive of the park board. I know we all have. I negotiated the deal for Armco Park. I got a CFO of a Fortune 100 company yelling at me, literally, on the negotiation of
I
this
gladly
park.
appreciate
She
that.
went and helped us from the state level, and guess what? We got it done. We
Yeah.
funded it. We've done literally just about everything your board has ever asked for. Then you decide, professional, this, we're gonna spend a lot of money on salaries. And it wasn't, oh, we're doing all these other things at the districts, we're becoming more professional, we're doing it this way. And the budget is going from 3 million to 9 million. That's cray-cray world to me.
Can I complete the sentence that you said when we came here for the master planning session? What it was I said, and you and I were friends, we did some bantering back and forth. I said, then I'm gonna spend the next year and a half trying to convince you to do it. And you said, no, I'm not putting any more money into the park district. That's what you said at that meeting. So we've already thought we've lost you, that you didn't wanna do any of that. When you and I talked last week, you were of the opinion, hey, aren't we under the arrangement, whenever you need something, you come and ask? No, and I respectfully had to remind you, no, that's not true, because if you think about it, what we did back when Commissioner South was here and you, the idea was, we want to get many bodies off the county's dime. And so how can we do that? And that's where we entered into the relationship of doing the local government funds. And it was literally told to us, these are your local government funds, stop asking us for money, you're on your own. So
It was a more predictable stream.
yeah, hindsight's 20, and that's exactly what we need. Like the concept, I love you, Commissioner Young, I do. You've been very generous to us. Whenever we need something, you help us. But the problem is, that's not bankable, that's not budgetable. How do we come up with an income stream that's just that?
And it is true that that local government fund has been under attack by
Sure.
the
All with
legislature
inflation
for
and
the
other-
last 12 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that funding stream has been reduced. So I appreciate that too. I just, I'm just frustrated
Yeah.
by where we are.
Bluntly, as are we, not that we're anywhere near what you guys are, I totally get that. But bluntly, as are we, because we want to have this candid conversation. You know, poor Matt, in some senses, he's just the mercenary sent to do our bidding. But, you know, he's framed it as, this is what, not that this is what we're doing, I understand that that's how it came across. It's very much been, no, we want to come to the county commissioners, we want to talk to them, we want their input. If the thing is,
Well, why don't you do this? We don't need to have a presentation
Can I-
today about all the fun things you're doing. We like the parks. We support our parks.
Yeah.
We want to have a great park system.
Amen.
And we want you to have the funding to maintain the parks that we have, as well as improve them. We want all that.
amen,
The problem is that you, without us knowing it, having no idea of it, without any history of ever having a park levy, you come out when, as both Commissioners Young and Jones have said, but in particular, we are very sensitive to property taxation.
Absolutely.
We've got this drive to put this on the ballot to remove the current system, completely end it, which is a large part of our budget. We announced earlier this year, I'm sure you were there, at the State of the County, where our commission president, Commissioner Jones, mentioned our interest in reducing our inside millage, which is 2.7 mils for next year, so that it's not paid for. We're trying, and we took up, I'm up for re-election, okay, maybe that doesn't matter, but we raised the sales tax slightly by 0.5 percentage point. Now, we're gonna be criticized for raising slightly a sales tax while giving a 2.7 mil reduction. But at the same time, this is all going on, and you know all about it.
sure.
Apparently, you're secretly planning to do a levy.
I take issue legitimately with the
Okay, wait a
concept of
second.
secretly.
Okay, well, when did you tell us about the levy?
I guess the answer to that is now, but that doesn't
Well,
mean
then,
that
yeah,
it's
right.
secretly planned.
No, I'll tell you what, I learned about it once you voted on it. That's when I learned about the intent.
Yes,
Okay, so I think, this is my suggestion to you, I think you should reverse it and then come back and start talking to us about your funding needs, et cetera. But not in the context of us feeling, and I think this is what Commissioner Jones directly said to you. I think that, and I'll use not leverage, but I feel manipulated by you. I feel like we've got this sword of Damocles over our heads, and now we're the person that has to do something. But we've been doing it all along. We've been, as Commissioner Young said, we've been supporting you all along from our current budget. So I don't.
And it is true.
You haven't been supporting us from your current budget. You agreed a number of years ago to reallocate, to adjust the formula, but you haven't been out of that. And
No,
I'm
but
glad.
that actually would be revenue we were entitled to,
Absolutely,
Ben. I mean,
absolutely.
so to suggest that we aren't supporting you through that.
No, I get that, but out of, well, whatever, that's a debate.
The bottom line is, I think Commissioner Grossman's suggestion is a good one.
That was
That
what I
if
was
you-
going to suggest
I
as well,
take you
if.
all at your word that their hindsight is 20/20, that it was not anyone's intention, that it seems wise to me for the board to change its position here and then come back to us to enter into a conversation about what this could, should, and must look like.
Can I ask a question as it relates to that? And I'm all for that. I intended to come here and try to talk you into helping us find a different way to do this. And that's what I still intend to do.
But we're gonna do that on a different day, okay?
No, yes, I understand.
After you reverse it, that's my suggestion, after
Can
you
I-
reverse it, we will have that conversation. You will have a very positive group.
Can I respectfully finish what I wanted to
Yeah,
say?
of course, and you know I respect you.
Thank you,
I've
yes,
known you
do I.
for many years, and
Yes.
I'm angry with and upset with the situation that we were put in.
I completely understand that. This is my ask in doing that, is bluntly, we've come here, I've been on this board since 2010. By the way, volunteer board, nobody gets paid. We do this as a labor of love, just like your airport board. But it's frustrating when we'll come to this, and at times we hear, who do you guys report to? Like, wait, you're not your own, wait, we don't control you, I mean, money speaks, all those kind of things. But over the years, I've not felt that this board has been cognizant of the actual role of the park district, or we've kind of, every time we come, have to remind the commissioners, current and past, different ones, of who we are, and wait, it's not a department of the county? How are you guys appointed? Those different kind of things. If we're to do this, I mean, just all cards on the table, I would love to have an intellectually honest conversation about all of it, so that we can figure out something sustainable that works.
And that's what I thought we were
And
going
that's
to
what I-
start having.
And I'd be on
maybe
get,
next week.
talk to my wife, she would say, I'm horrible at framing, or whatever, those types of things. That's what I intended to do, and I've been out of town with baseball, with my kid and all this stuff, and we couldn't get together until
You
then.
don't owe me an explanation.
Well, I do.
understand life gets in the way.
But
Like,
my
there's-
point was never to make it feel manipulated or to any of those things. But if we do withdraw or don't pass the resolution to proceed, or we can, whichever way, we don't care. I would love to have a truly intellectual conversation with you all about how do we not just, what is our, this is, I'm blunt, this is what I don't want to have happen. What is our shortfall per year where we're negative spending?
200,000?
Yeah, it's about 200,000. So, I mean, in comparison to what you guys are asked on other things, that's not much. Worst case scenario, the thing that I wouldn't like to see is we go, okay, well then we'll give you 200,000 and you can keep limping along the way that you are. Because that's a Band-Aid on the systematic problem that's much bigger than that, which is our park district is woefully developed under everything in comparison to all of the different baselines. So if we do this, I'd like to be able to have a true, honest, intellectual conversation with you
Well, by
all.
the way, I always want you to come in here and lie to me, okay? No, obviously not. And obviously, when you use the word blunt, we want you to be honest with us always.
Sure.
We want you to be, have all your cards on
Sure.
the table. We want you to be transparent. So you don't have to tell me you want, can we have a blunt conversation? Of course you can. Of
Tell
course
that to
we
all the
want
other
that.
bodies that come in front of you, we're all scared of you to come up here.
I'm not, you shouldn't be.
But I do recognize that we take our charge seriously about the protection of taxpayers. So I know it is not easy to come before us
Yep.
and have these conversations.
Yep.
And I can't guarantee for you that it's always going to be easy, but I hope
Absolutely.
you appreciate that it is just, it comes from a place of our stewardship
Absolutely.
of county taxpayers, and not from a place of just saying no to say no. I don't think anyone on this board has seen that. I will say on this board, it's hard, but because we're serious about the work that we're doing here.
Absolutely.
But it is not because, so I will give you that there may be other counties where you can come forward and it's not as rigorous as,
And that's why I live here. I
as
mean,
it is.
We all are of the same ethos in that regard.
But it's not because you can't, that we don't want the engagement and the chance to participate in partnership.
I think I'd like to point out something. Again, I'm not the smartest guy. I tend to forget things, and if I said that's on me. We're not giving you any more money. But I say that all the time, and
That's part of the process.
It is,
there's
but
like
words
a-
matter. I'm a lawyer. We appreciate this.
there's a thing, right?
This
That,
is his art of the deal.
Right.
Yes.
No, hey, Greenland, I'm gonna bomb you. I just won a couple bases there. Okay, but anyway, I digress. But if the position is, we need some more predictable this, we're trying to improve, we're trying to do this, that's one thing. We literally had elderly services here like an hour ago, was my point. And I think you saw their reception. We love you. We love taking care of the old people. We love what you're doing. We love the fact you've done more with less. We 100% support you, and we're gonna encourage the voters of this county to support your levy. Versus, we're doing it. We don't need you to support us. And
And
it's
that
not, we're
messaging
trying to
is bad.
do more with less. And again, what I heard was, it's not, we need a couple $100,000 here or there, and if we have a capital project, hey, come to us and figure it out. Hey, we need 200 grand more a year, steady, and if we need to go spend $2 million and acquire this property that's unreal, okay, we'll entertain that. I'm hearing you're going from a $3 million budget to a $9 million budget. And if that's what you're trying to do, I would say, take it to the voters, see what they have to say. Because I have no interest in tripling your budget under what I know today. That the park district, could it improve? Of course it could. But is it improved? Literally, it's 100% better, 200% better than 20-something years ago? Because this was a rural county. When everybody owned 5 or 10 acres, you don't need a bunch of park districts. It was just by default, the more urbanized your community becomes, the more important park districts become. So even before my time, 30, 40 years, no one cared. Because everybody lived on large lots and they had a park in their backyard, basically. That's not the world of Warren County today. It is becoming more important, and we've recognized that, which is why we've allocated more resources to it, why we bought the biggest park in your district and just paid for it in lieu of it developing into condos, which was the alternative. So we recognize that, and that's where we think we've been there for you in the past.
I just want you guys to be aware of our board's thinking and the public surveying that we've done, that we need to do more than put a Band-Aid on this.
Okay, when
That's
you
it.
come in, all I'm asking you to do, Pat, you know, we've had a long relationship for a long time.
Sure.
You know, I was on Mason Council for 11 years, and you can take a look at the parks in Mason, and you can see my continual public statements to support parks and have the best park system possible.
But it's easy to support Parks and Mason because
What's
they're
that?
beautiful. It's easy to support Parks and Mason because they're beautiful.
Well, they are, but they weren't. But we improved them a lot. I mean, we
Sure.
put in the Mason Sports Park, $10 million. We improved all of our sports fields. We did all sorts of improvements at Pine Run. We've done. We then bought and have the Gould, what will be a future passive park with the Gould Park. We support parks. But the problem with how this rolled out to us is that all of a sudden,
Understand.
at a very, okay, so I know, probably I'll stop because I've already said everything. And so I want to put this back, I want to put us back in equilibrium where you're then coming to us and we're having obviously an honest conversation. I don't want you to come in and lie your rear end to us about something or hide or not be transparent. But I want to be on an equal field with you where we have a conversation where we're partnering with you, as we always have. And you have a receptive audience.
That's perfect. We
And
would
it
love
may
that.
not, that conversation may not look like the status quo, but it also may not look at what your hopes and dreams are, and it may
Absolutely.
be something in between. I can't guarantee what that
Something in
might look
between.
like, but we haven't, I think, then we all have a chance to kind of weigh into the conversation and better understand what your needs are and why you've made choices that
Yep.
you have and those sorts of things.
Something in between would be, I can't speak for everyone, but in my mind, that is still transformative.
And
I
here's
get
my,
that.
and here's gonna be my goal, and I think this is gonna be the goal of all of my colleagues. We want to maintain the current system, we want to improve it, but I don't want to have new taxes. That's
Yeah.
my goal. We don't want to raise people's property taxes. We are trying to lower them.
Yep.
We're making and sometimes we shift, like we have slightly increased the sales tax, which has a far lower impact upon our population than a property tax increase does on some of the most vulnerable people in our county. So you have to understand that we're looking at a broad picture here, not just the parks, but a broad picture. And from the public standpoint, particularly with something as sensitive as property taxes are, our goal is not to raise them, but to lower them to the best of our ability. And you've been hearing that from us for a long time. And then to get blindsided, and it was blindsided by us, that you're gonna go out to a levy asking people to raise, and of course it's the public, but it looks like it's us, okay? It looks like it's the county that's doing this. And so I'm asking again that you would reverse course and then come back to
Sure,
us.
yeah. I think we can do that. I'll have to talk to the
Well,
others.
I mean, I
but
think you
being a 2-to-1
can, because
vote-
I think you just need one more vote.
No, I agree.
And I think the person's talking to me right now.
Yeah, and I think we can do that, because our board acts as a we, whether it's me or individually.
Yeah,
But-
so when my
but
kids
2
tell me
points-
they think they can do something, I tell them, no, you can do it.
I understand.
Because it's within your control.
I understand. 2 points, and then I'll quit
Sure.
blabbing. One is, I would love, to your exact point, and maybe you think I'm not as, we're Warren County, we like to brag about who's the most conservative within us, that's what we fight about. I am equally conservative, I hate property taxes just as much as the next guy. That's a course of last resort ever, which is where I thought we may be. But I've always thought, wouldn't it be great if we can brag about, like, if we did do the whatever funding mechanism that's transformative to some degree, whatever that ends up being, and we still don't have a countywide park levy. We are the largest county in Ohio to not have a countywide park district, levy.
And
By far.
people notice,
And
I
would
did a
love
big
that.
interview
That's
last
a bragging
week
right.
on this.
And that's my exact
literally
point.
where everybody, all the different levies and indigent care and libraries and parks, and do you have that? No. Do you have that? No. Do you have that? That is why we're, even amongst the conservative counties, Butler and Claremont immediately around us, we're like 20% underneath what their
Yeah,
total millage is.
and I think that's my point, is I would love, if we can work it out to where we can have Warren County, Ohio's playgrounds, and those playgrounds be as awesome as they should be, while doing it all and bragging that we don't have a park district levy, I would love that. Number one, I think that's a potential thing that we can do. The second thing is, and just to throw it out there, I think there's potential for us, I'd like you all to chew on it now, and we can talk about it later, is maybe the park district can get involved at the fairgrounds. I think that that's a potential thing that we could involve ourselves with as well to help the city and the county as well. Abstract thoughts, but I think there could be some solutions to all this that could work for
Well,
all
let's
of us.
put ourselves back in equilibrium again. That's what
Yeah.
I've been suggesting.
Yep,
And I think that my colleagues agree with that. And then we can have as we always have, a constructive conversation with you.
I don't know, I like this. I never get fired up. And
Well, then I'm
you've
not,
officially hired.
If
I'm not-
only that were true.
I'm not taking it back then. Let's go at it
If
some
only
more.
that were true.
Okay.
Thank you for being
Thank you.
here today.
I appreciate your candor.
So we are behind on a public hearing here to consider the rezoning application of Elijah Alexander to rezone approximately 6.094 acres from two-family residential zone R2 to single-family residential zone R1 in Franklin Township.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ray Dratt, Building and Zoning. The applicant, Elijah Alexander, is here. The presentation will be labeled a zoning inspector PowerPoint Exhibit 1. The case is 2026-03. The applicant is Elijah Alexander. The township is Franklin. The address is 6863 Hamilton Middletown Road, Franklin, Ohio, 45005. Parcel identification number 0706101-032. Property size is approximately 6.0495 acres, and the frontage is 35 feet. The current zoning is R2 two-family residential. The future land use is single-family residential. The existing land use is single-family. The rezoning request would be to go from R2 two-family residential to R1 single-family. And the issue for consideration is the rezoning to allow him to have a family cemetery on his property. We were in front of RPC June 25th, RZC July 7th, and we are here today for your final decision. As the proposal, we know what the proposal is. Here's a quick look at where he was at R2, where he wants to be at R1. It is a permitted use. An overlay of the property. Real quick, the Hamilton Middletown Road is here. This is all city of Middletown. This is an aerial of his property. Here's the flood and zoning map. You can see he's surrounded by R2, the Middletown area to the west. That's approximately where he wants to put it. Notification map within 500 feet. The future land use, single-family residential. Zoning comparison, you can see that the standards kind of increase, so less dense and so forth. This is important. The property surrounding Elijah, this is his father, this is his sister, and that's his property. Warren County Combined Health District, they have some requests that the applicant is aware of that he needs to do on his own. RPC obviously recommended approval. We had no response from Franklin. Molly had no comments, and the sheriff had no comments as well. There's your decision-making process. Are there any questions of me?
Commissioners, I would just say that I did put in the summary, while there wasn't a response directly to this, Franklin Township Administrator Cordray did email me, and they are fine with this request.
We're down zoning, right? We're going from higher density to lower density?
Yes.
Correct.
All right.
Thank you.
So do we need to,
Ask if there's anyone.
is there anybody who wishes to speak on this matter?
This is the applicant.
My name is Elijah Alexander. I'm the applicant. So I started this process a few months ago, a little different than I am today. So I had a daughter that was terminally ill with brain tumor. Yesterday at 4:30, she ended up passing away.
I'm so
So-
sorry.
It's a little bit harder there. But I thought in my brain, having 6 acres, I'd be able to do this. I didn't think there was like a restriction. That was why it took so long to get in front of you guys. But
No, I'm so terribly sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry you made the trip in today, because I think we're gonna just grant your request.
all right, I
Hope it
appreciate
gives you
it.
family peace.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, so we need to close the public
Make
hearing.
a motion to close the public hearing.
And yes, and
I'll make a motion to approve the rezoning application of Elijah Alexander to rezone 6.094 acres from two-family residential R2 to single-family residential R1 in Franklin Township.
is there a second?
Second?
And roll call?
Mrs. Jones?
Yes,
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
thank you so much. Okay, next I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to conference with our attorney present concerning a dispute subject of pending litigation pursuant to ORC 121.22G3.
I make that motion?
And I'll second that?
Roll call?
Mrs. Jones?
Yes,
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
thank you.